what the zodiac signs look like, or how to guess someone's sign based on their appearance, the astrology of appearance, whatever the hell you want to call this video. Because I don't know what keywords I'm going to look up to what to name this yet, which is how I do things. I have to look up the keywords, what's ranking, what's trending, etc. I'm a Virgo Sun, Capricorn rising, all very intentional. Now, my most viewed video on this channel is my video from nearly 3 years ago, which is how to guess someone's zodiac sign based on what they look like. I did not film that expecting it to blow up like that. It took several years for it to get to that point, and it doesn't have an exorbitant amount of views, but it is funny that that is a video from my pre-TikTok days. I had not been on TikTok yet. I just edited that like in between classes. It was filmed at my fireplace is over there right now, but I'm moving out of this apartment actually next week, so things are in front of it and everything. I can't film there. I was gonna like nostalgically film it in the same place, but just not feasible, so I'm here in my wrecked bedroom. But I felt like because that is still my most viewed video, I get comments on it constantly that I should do an updated version, how to tell someone's sign based on physical features, typical physical features of the signs, etc. Do not come for me in these comments saying it's space racism, you can go fuck off. What I'm here to show is the correlation between not only astrology and world events as I usually do, but some more lighthearted things like appearance. Because not only can serious things like world events, like major movements in finance, in wars and empires, or just personal psychology, not only are those things reflected in astrology, but also, you know, fucking what kind of hair texture I have is a Leo stellium, which is getting wrecked because I did my hair all pretty and then I went upstairs to my roof and took a little photo shoot and it's humid as hell, so that's done, but whatever, it has volume. Thumbnail shot. There we go. Side profile. And astrology in no way is overriding genetics. It's not that kind of a force. Astrology is not a force. It's a mirror for reality. So being born under a certain sign or a certain birth chart combination might reflect the fact that you're receiving certain genetics, and that could coincide with the sign being prominent in your chart. Correlation, not causation. I digress. So let's get into it. So the fundamentals of what I'm going to be explaining is how rising sign is generally the most indicative of your appearance. Rising sign is also known as the first house or the ascendant sign. It was the sign literally coming up over the horizon when you were born, and it reflects you in the chart of your entire life. So the map of your life, your chart, is reflecting things that happen to you, amidst you, around you. What is your life entailing? And that first house really focuses on you, your character, your personality, your vitality, and your appearance. You can fight me and you can bring up some weird nuanced opinion about some other placement randomly reflecting what you look like, but all in all, it's the rising sign and any planets in that first house. Can also tie in the sign of your first house ruler, which I'll explain, but overall, main thing will be what's your rising sign and what are any planets in the first house to further color that. Yes, your sun sign, and if you have a stellium or something major in other signs, that can also tie in, but all in all, like I'm saying, really is first house rising sign, as that's the appearance in the chart. And for people that think that the moon sign reflects appearance, I would disagree with that. I would say that the moon sign generally reflects your bodily systems. Like my moon in Libra shows that I generally have pretty harmonious cycles of various things. I don't really have highs and lows or issues with the way that I have digestion or like routines. The moon generally reflects routine, what you're going through on a bodily basis, not direct appearance. So as an example for what this is reflecting in practice, I'll just use my own chart. It's a good example, I guess, to call upon. So I'm a Capricorn rising. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Saturn is a planet of restrictions and boundaries and challenges. Therefore, appearance-wise, Capricorns tend to be bony bitches. Bony knees, ankles, elbows, jaw lines, etc. Smaller, but not stout, usually just small. And you'll notice Capricorn risings tend to have this like kind of small nose, small lips, but a little bit pouty, and then cheekbones and eyes that are very prominent and have this expression of like, really bitch. With Neptune on my ascendant or pretty close to it, Neptune is a planet of delusion, dreams. I mean, people project onto me such different weird things about appearance and personality, but it does generally indicate a cartoonish, spiritual, ethereal type appearance. And Capricorn being ruled by Saturn, I have my Saturn in Taurus, which is another earth sign, and earth signs tend to be earthy, tend to be a little bit feminine, a little bit sensual, and no matter how emaciated I may be, I'm always gonna have tits and an ass. I have a Leo stellium, I have the mane, my natural hair texture, it's coming back a little bit because of the humidity, is big, big waves. I have a lot of fucking hair. And I do have my Virgo sun. It is, I like to say that Virgos look like baby doll aliens. I don't look as Virgo as a Virgo rising would, but with my Virgo sun on the North Node, it does emphasize or grow the Virgo sun quality a little bit more than just having my Virgo sun out in the open. So I do kind of have the baby doll alien quality, but overall, I mean Capricorn rising, body and face to a T. So that's an example. So in this video, I'm going to run through celebrities based on rising sign. I'm going to use some different examples than my previous video to try to illustrate what the signs look like, especially as their rising sign archetype. I will probably repeat some things from my previous video because I'm the same person articulating the same thing, however, I'm meaner now, so that's that. Let's start with Aries risings, given they are the first sign, don't we? I like to say that Aries risings look like Tasmanian fucking devils. They're ruled by Mars. That reddishness, that little bit of aggression, that intensity in the features and in the stare is very, very noticeable. Hair tends to have a tone of red to it, even if it's brown or blonde, no matter what, there's a reddish orangish tinge. The skin tends to have a reddish flush to it. They can have like rosacea or just rosy cheeks. They tend to have pointy, high, arched eyebrows, a really strong chin, jawline, bone structure that is very, I guess, points towards the center, and well-defined lips, but I wouldn't say full lips. They tend to have the kind of lips where it's like you can see the outline. They're very like, but I wouldn't say full. And because Aries rules the head, generally their face and their head are very striking, and they can tend towards dramatic eye makeup, even if their eyes are small. Some Aries rising celebrities that I think really embody this, and by the way, I generally, when I look up celebrity placements, I use Astro Theme. It's super easy to use Astro Theme to like search, so if you notice that a lot of these are examples on Astro Theme, it's because it's the easiest place for me to look up celebrities with this or celebrities with that. I'm not sponsored anything. I don't use Astro Theme for anything else, but you might notice that these are in an order that shows up on Astro Theme. Anyway, Aries rising celebrities, Shakira, the hair, the intensity. The hair for Aries risings can be pretty messy. Barbara Streisand, very Aries. Paris Jackson, very much Aries rising. Heath Ledger, a good guy example. Cardi B just looks very like Tasmanian devilish. And then apparently Jeff Bezos is an Aries rising. However, there's some conflicting reports about his birth time, so I just threw that in because if it's confirmed by now, then cool, he's an Aries rising. Let's move on to Taurus, shall we? Taurus is ruled by Venus, planet of sensuality and love and beauty. So Tauruses tend to have this earthy, grounded fertility, sensual features, really soft skin. They tend to have little freckles, pouty lips, upturned eyes, and the nose with the nostrils that look like a little bowl. There's a healthy vibrancy to Tauruses that just involves like plump skin. They tend not to be super frail. They tend to just look very healthy and very strong. Thick hair, pouty lips, the kind of like bull nose. You just know the cute Taurus nose, in my opinion. You know it. The upturned eyes. Often there's a glowiness to what the color scheme is. So like golden hair, eyes could have some green to them. And Taurus rules the neck into shoulders. So I tend to find that like Tauruses tend to just have strong shoulders. Even me as someone with Saturn in Taurus, you know, ruling my sun in Taurus, I've always just had shoulders that like, I love working out shoulders. I have really good shoulders that you notice if you take a picture of me from an angle above, I look like a fucking like man, like with my shoulders just going out. Taurus rising celebrities that I think really show this are MLK, Robert Pattinson, who is my like, if anyone has a connection to Robert Pattinson, would love to meet. Jared Leto. Actually, that's funny that two of my main celebrity crushes, Robert Pattinson and Jared Leto, are both Taurus risings. How interesting. Miley Cyrus, Gigi Hadid, those two, they just look very, very Taurian. Megan Thee Stallion and Camila Cabello, they are all Taurus risings. Gemini is ruled by Mercury, the planet of communication, fickle little Hermes, and they definitely look like that fickle little Hermes type person. They look like little elves. They have small, well-defined features, tend to have a pointy nose, and have a smaller head. They have notable blinking, and unlike some other signs where I think they have a distinct, like other signs could have a distinct type feature, Gemini simply have a smallness to their face that is easily confused with Capricorn risings, but is less bony and more fickle and elfish. Very expressive features, they tend to have a smaller build, and because Gemini rules the hands and the arms, they tend to talk a lot with their hands. They tend to have very like well-manicured fingers. But yeah, elfish is the number one way I would describe Gemini risings. Some Gemini risings that really look like this are Louis Tomlinson, like please, looks like a fucking little elf. Gordon Ramsay is a good example of this, as is Charlie Sheen. All of these look like very Gemini rising people. Amy Winehouse, Kristen Stewart looks very Gemini rising. Ashton Kutcher and Kamala Harris all are Gemini risings. Cancer risings, some of my favorite people in the world. There are two main types to Cancer risings, the moon and the crab. So the moon face Cancer rising people look like moons. They have a very round face. They tend to have a little bit more like cushiony build to them. They tend to have big eyes. They look very, very like large and wide spaced almond eyes, versus the crabs tend to be like taller, thinner, very bony features, very like, I don't know, it's the inverse, frankly. High cheekbones, very sharp features, a little bit like plankton from a little bit like, this is gonna be so offensive, plankton from SpongeBob. That's the way that I think about things in very weird, almost like offensive cartoons. Cancers rule the chest and like the boobs, so Cancer women either have very full breasts, usually the moon body type, or none at all, usually the crab body type. And Cancer rising guys can sometimes have some man boobage, or just good pecs. Some celebrities with Cancer rising are Angelina Jolie, Kanye West, Adele, The Weeknd. Clearly, all of them are the moon archetype of the full, like Angelina Jolie's lips and her eyes, very moon. Kanye and The Weeknd both look very lunar. Adele, very lunar looking. Versus the crab is more like Arnold Schwarzenegger. This is so ridiculous the way I'm saying this. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Ben Affleck, Tyra Banks, John Travolta, they all look very crab-like. Also, Margot Robbie looks more of the moon kind. So you can see how both are beautiful. I love Cancer risings. You all know you're my favorite. Now moving on to Leo risings. So Leo is ruled by the sun. So they are the center of attention. They want to be seen. Generally big hair, even if they're not like long hair. You notice their hair, you're like, that's some good hair. Golden features, cat-like, where the eyes are upturned, and there tends to be a strength to the jaw. They tend to have a wider set jaw. It's not a long thin face usually. It's more of a wide set circular or square face. Broader, shorter nose. And muscularity, not necessarily like huge or built, but Leo rules the heart and the cardiovascular system, so they tend to have some more muscle to them. There's a golden hue overall and a healthy vibrancy, like they're flush. So some celebrities that are Leo risings are Donald Trump, Selena Gomez, Demi Lovato, Marilyn Monroe, Johnny Depp, Jack Nicholson, Adam Levine. They all look cat-like to a degree. They're all very like, the eyes are up, the nose is kind of like smaller, wider, the hair, they all look very cat-like is how I would describe Leo risings. And Leo risings are not afraid to have a statement look to them. Now, Virgo risings are also ruled by Mercury, but unlike Mercury with Gemini, where it's more elfish, I find that Mercury with Virgos tends to be more alien and very, very feminine and delicate. Even Virgo rising men tend to be very delicate, very lean, very like long in the way that their features are. And I call Virgo risings baby doll aliens. They have a high forehead, larger eyes. Generally, the chin goes inward, very heart-shaped face. And generally the Virgo body type compared to other signs is just very like thin, slender, taller, but not super tall, not like Aquarius where you're an inflatable tube man, just doll-like. And Virgo rules the digestive system and the intestines, so it's not really indicative on the outside, even though women tend to have wider set hips. But I mean, might notice Virgos are bloated a lot or something because they tend to have delicate digestion. So some celebrities with Virgo rising are Madonna, Keanu Reeves, Timothée Chalamet, Bella Hadid, Tom Hanks, and Kris Jenner all have that baby doll alien look, in my opinion. Now with Libra, Libras are ruled by Venus, and with Venus in Taurus, it tends to be fertility and sensuality. With Venus in Libra, I think it tends more towards symmetry and aesthetic harmony, and even a bit of just pleasant androgyny or gender bending. For example, Libras tend to have very strong jaws, but very delicate lips, very prominent noses, and dimples. And you might find that women who are Libra risings often dress in very like masculine, androgynous things like pantsuits or very like sharp kind of a look to them, whereas men who are Libra risings can be more delicate and wear softer things. Not at all talking about gender identity or sexuality here, just talking about the appearance and the look that they go for. And with Libra risings, they tend to have like a thicker lower body than upper. Like Libra risings, given that Libra rules the hips, they tend to have some thickness, but not necessarily super muscular. Some Libra rising celebrities are Beyonce, Jennifer Lopez, both of them good examples of that. Britney Spears also a fairly good example of that. Dua Lipa also a fairly good example of that. Jeffrey Dahmer, John Mayer, and Doja Cat. So Libra risings tend to be very, like I'd say, just unoffensive features, very unoffensive, very symmetrical, but you'll kind of notice the sharp jaw, the way that you can literally divide their face in two, strong nose, and eyes that are kind of wider and offset. And they wear a middle part a lot. Scorpio risings, on the other hand, are more overt, and I find them very clear when they are in front of me. Like, you can spot a Scorpio rising. They're ruled by Mars, which I think in this case, rather than being red or fiery with Aries rising, with Scorpio risings is a penetrative, intense gaze. There is kind of a vampiric quality to eyes that are really large and they just gaze into you. Often a hooked or downturned nose. Even if it's not substantial, the nose tends to be heavier rather than like light and super upturned or perky. Prominent cheekbones. I mean, with Scorpio risings, they usually have an oval face, high cheekbones, eyes that are large, a little bit of a more downturned nose, and pouty kind of pursed lips. Scorpio rules the reproductive system, so not necessarily something you can see flat out. And some Scorpio rising celebrities are Taylor Swift, Justin Bieber, Katy Perry, Prince. I think Prince is such a great example of Scorpio rising, just the way that he has those huge eyes, that oval face, and just looks at you with that intense gaze. Liam Payne, Lily Rose Depp. Lily Rose Depp is another great one. Like, you can just look at her and you're like, Scorpio rising. And Grimes. Grimes is another really good example, especially of like the quality of kind of the weirdness and the vampiric Scorpio rising. And I find that Scorpio risings, no matter what skin tone they are, tend to be a little bit pale or gray. Definitely a cooler tone. Sagittarius risings, on the other hand, are warm, large, jolly. I mean, they're ruled by Jupiter, the planet of abundance and offering, of teaching. So naturally, they tend to be very welcoming, you know, big hair, big smile. That's the number one thing with Sag risings that I give them a hard time about, is they have the fucking teeth. The smile takes up half their body. And they tend to be like grounded and muscular. Sagittarius is like associated with centaurs and horses. So the big like smile and also having a body that is very firm. They tend to be very muscular. It rules the glutes. Sag rules the glutes. They tend to be very, very strong and muscular, especially lower body, thighs, and glutes. And a good celebrity to show this is Kim Kardashian, but also Eminem, Jennifer Lawrence, Oprah. I think Oprah and her meme of like, you get a car, you get a car, you get a car. That is so Sag, so Jupiter, just that energy. Jimi Hendrix, Biden, Bob Marley. Those are all guys where they have the smile. They have the Sag smile of like, that's the only way I can describe it. Capricorn rising, on the other hand, is a much more smaller, petite energy and look. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, which is a planet of structure and of stability. So naturally, Capricorn risings tend to be bony, tend to be small, tend to be very sharp and thin in the way that they're built. And deep set eyes, like the eyes and just the eye cavity, I guess you could say, is very deep set. Posture tends to be really straight, and they can have some like old man type bones that just crack. Like, they're very bony, very cautious. You'll notice I find Capricorn rising mannerisms are very cautious. They're always looking for threats and all on guard. Capricorn is associated with the goat and the sea goat, and goats are climbing the mountain very intensely, and I find that Capricorn risings can look like little goats. I'm gonna be fucking honest. Look for knobby knees, hyperextended elbows, and that deep set eye with the brow bone. This is the Capricorn rising brow bone. That's the way that I differentiate Gemini risings and Capricorn risings often, because they can look kind of similar with the smallness, with the intensity of like the features, but Gemini risings look more like elves and are a little bit younger and cuter, versus Capricorn risings have like the deep set eyes often, which are very good for makeup, which I did pretty fucking well today. So some example of this are Ariana Grande, phenomenal example of Capricorn rising. Megan Fox, another great example. Kylie Jenner, another really good example of this. Because even like Kylie, you can say is curvy, you can see that she definitely has a very thin build, even if she's done things and, you know, built her body in a way that supports the curve. I fucking love Kylie's aesthetic. I mean, Ariana Grande, Megan Fox, and Kylie Jenner are all really big inspirations to me in multiple ways. Like, I just love the way they look and aesthetically and how they carry themselves. Cristiano Ronaldo, Naomi Campbell, Gisele Bündchen, Russell Brand, Lord's a great example. Anthony Hopkins as well. Aquarius risings are also ruled by Saturn, but instead of Saturn being more like small and petite, I find that Aquarius risings look like inflatable tube men with heads that have giant jaw lines and small eyes. Yeah, the wide, prominent jaw, spaciousness in general, very airy, very, like Jesus rising up from above. Smaller, deep-set eyes. The deep-setness of Saturn is very clear with both Capricorns and Aquariuses. Aquarius is the water bearer, so that's my joke around Jesusness. It's more like they are offering their giving, so they tend to be taller, thinner. And it rules the ankles, so they can have, I don't want to say cankles, but like you notice, there's some ankles there. Some celebrities with Aquarius rising are Nicki Minaj, great example. David Bowie, great example. Zendaya, very good example. Very, very Aquarius rising with the tall, inflatable tube man body, the beautiful, she's a great example of like a girl crush Aquarius rising because she's gorgeous. Henry Cavill, Matt Damon, Ian Somerhalder, really good example. There's something about the Aquarius rising where it's like, I don't know that. And Janis Joplin, another one. Finally, we are at Pisces rising, which is ruled by Jupiter, but Jupiter here is less fiery and in your face and more expansive and receptive. So Pisces risings tend to be the hardest, in my opinion, to discern. Often you're going through a bunch of other rising signs before you're like, fucking obviously it's a Pisces, because Pisces risings have these not too big, but these deep set, very generally close together, sad eyes that are downturned. That is the number one giveaway, is like just softer, shallower, less offensive or in your face features and these sad downturned eyes. And Pisces rules the feet, so sometimes they can have, or often they have, huge or very small feet, like very notable foot size. And their body's a little bit softer and less bony than some other signs. But I don't find that Pisces is either tall or short, like bigger, thinner. It's just more unoffensive, and their eyes are really what you notice. So some celebrities with Pisces rising are Billie Eilish, who is just a phenomenal example of this, like very much just the Pisces rising archetype. Gwyneth Paltrow, Zayn Malik, Ryan Gosling, and I think Zayn and Ryan show the whimper that Pisces rising had. Just like you look at them and they're like, I can't even do it because I have Botox in between my eyebrows, but like they look very concerned. They look very concerned. Alicia Keys, Andrew Garfield, G-Eazy. I think G-Eazy is a great example of this too. Like he's like with it, like don't fuck with him, but you can tell like he has those sad downturned eyes. So I hope that this was helpful. I hope that this gives an updated little run through of what the zodiac signs look like and shit. I feel like it's pretty, I don't want to say intuitive because I'm not an intuitive person, but pretty kind of obvious once you start to see the archetypes, what people really look like and resemble, and you can start to see these things. It's not made up. It's not made up patterns or anything. This is like, you can look at these and you can see this resonance. So if you have any comments, anything to add, do let me know down below. Would love to hear from you, your thoughts and experiences with what the signs look like, and I will see you in the next video in a different location because this is one of the final videos I film in this shithole of bad vibes.
Oh, but there is one thing you're all forgetting. That endless morning will turn to night.